Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
What is going on, guys? How y'all doing on this Thursday evening? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and this is my review of this past week's episode of Monday Night Raw, the July 15th, 2024 edition. And it took place just about 3 or 4 hours northwest of me in Dayton, Ohio. We, of course, are again on the road to Summerslam, which will be taking place 2 weeks from Saturday in Cleveland, Ohio. A couple really good friends of mine will be attending SummerSlam live. I, unfortunately, will not be this year. Considered it, but again, stuff came up, and I will be watching at home with my family. And we will, of course, be talking about continuing to go on the road to SummerSlam. As the road kind of continues to, I don't say disappoint me a little bit, but it feels like every week, it's kind of how I felt about the Big Bang Theory, the TV series. At the beginning of the series, they made it seem like that these guys are like big, rich, genius scientists. By the end of the series, it's like they basically expose that they're not as big of a deal as you think. This build to SummerSlam so far, I don't hate it. There's definitely some good stuff. But again, it just feels like that it's not, something's missing. Like, I was expecting amazing, super hot build. Now, I feel like I'm getting just good. Good, but just some things that I'm questioning a little bit. Some things that I'm not quite sure of how I feel. Like, it just feels like that they've eased back a little bit with the momentum, if you know what I mean. And there's stuff they're definitely trying very hard with. So there's the promos they had this week with Damian Priest and Gunther. A match that will be good, but does it feel SummerSlam worthy? That's why, again, I am still surprised they didn't do Seth Rollins and Gunther at SummerSlam. And I get it. They're trying to make sure Damian Priest has a well-worthy title reign. It's not been a horrible reign. It's just that, he feels like he could be on another level as world champion, but he's not quite there yet. The stuff, of course, with the stuff that was the highlight of the night for sure was definitely Rhea Ripley's return and setting up her match with Liv Morgan at SummerSlam, and Dominik trying to get forgiveness from Mommy, and so on and so forth. So we had that there. We had 2 heel turns, which I'll finally be doing turn alert, getting back to those sick turn alert graphics that I really enjoy, I may say. I just watched them again the other day just for heck because I thought those graphics were some of the best that I definitely have done so far. And we did get more, but further along, I feel like with the Wyatt 6. Now, I love the stuff with Bo Dallas in this episode. But as far as the stuff with Chad Gable goes, I'm a little worried. We'll talk about it, though, when we get to it. Let's roll in, though, and talk about Raw. The show opened up with Rhea Ripley coming out. She tells us that Mommy's home, she'll handle Dom later. But she's more concerned with Liv Morgan running around with what she never lost, the Women's World Championship. Liv thinks she took her out, but really she just pissed her off. And she wants to walk out here and bring her stupid little self in front of her so she can rip her apart. Instead, though, out comes Dominik Mysterio, carrying a single black rose, basically reenacting the stuff with Eddie Guerrero and China. But before he can even speak, coming on a Titantron is Liv Morgan. She apologizes and explains she had a long night in Mexico, and she's a bit of a screamer. She talks injuries briefly before saying she meant everything when she said she was going to take everything away from Rhea Ripley, which includes Daddy Dom. She didn't get the appeal at first, but she wasn't really into Dom, but then she got to spend time with him, looking into his eyes and kissing, and it became very real to her, more real than anything else. Dom then protests the entire time, and Liv says, Mommy may be home, but she's the one on top. And Dom's like, no, it's not what it looks like. It's not what it looks like. But then Rhea just pushes right through, and she challenges Liv at SummerSlam. And Liv said she knew the end game would always be them fighting for the title, and she's not going to run. But Rhea should know she's not the same Liv Morgan she beat and she's fine before, and she's finally going to beat her. So she accepts the challenge. Then Rhea says at SummerSlam, she's not just going to win the title back. She's ending Liv's career, and then she blows a kiss to the camera, and we got that match made official. I still would say, again, in my SummerSlam card predictions, I went as far as and predicted, like, really put Dom on the line here. Have him be the special guest referee. It's very obvious that Liv's going to retain because Dom's going to turn on Rhea, which that's when I will officially consider Rhea a babyface once Dom turns on her. But yeah, give it a little more spice. Make Dom the special guest referee. We then have Sheamus make his entrance, getting ready for his match with Bronson Reed. Sheamus has new theme music. I like the Tron. The new theme music I do like better than his Hellfire theme he had for the longest time as a heel, but why? I was happy when they brought back Written in My Face. And then they just like that, it's gone. A little bit of a bummer, but you know, it's a decent improvement, I would say, from Hellfire. But still, I was enjoying the nostalgia act of Written in My Face, but I guess it only lasted for so long. Before the match, though, Dom's backstage to beg Rhea to let him explain, and she opens the door to Judgment Day's clubhouse and sees it filled with black roses. He says he's just trying to make it up, and Damian Priest comes out of nowhere and has a chuckle, and Rhea opens the door and throws the roses in Dom's face and presses some kind of dog figurine into his hands. But of course, that wasn't it. With that, we got more of that throughout the show. Sheamus did take on Bronson Reed in a solid match. I thought it was good. He beats Bronson, though, with a, what's he calling it? His Jumbo Tsuruda Rising Knee, not the bro kick. Weird way to beat Bronson Reed, but whatever. Match is still good. Afterwards, though, Bronson goes to beat down Sheamus, but then Pete Dunne comes out, thinking he's returning the favor from last week, but then, of course, Pete Dunne still refused a handshake from Sheamus. Obviously showing there's still some tension between the two of them since he turned on the Brawling Brutes. But then whenever Pete Dunne goes to walk away, Sheamus turns his back, and then Pete Dunne runs back in and lays out Sheamus with the forearm. He then lets Bronson Reed hit a tsunami. Pete just shrugs it off. He walks away. So I guess I'm assuming that's setting up for a match for Bash in Berlin. Okay, I mean, if this is the start of an actual singles push for Pete Dunne, which I do hope, Triple H was going to do that when he instantly took over in 2022 after Vince left the first time. But he kept it going since there was some momentum right there with the Brawling Brutes. So I'm assuming this is the start of Dunne's singles push, which, awesome. Again, his tag team partner, Tyler Bate, is out for 6 to 9 months with torn pec like Cody Rhodes. So, yeah, hopefully it does lead to a great run. We'll talk about the heel turn in the turn alert. All I will say, though, when Tyler Bate comes back, which probably won't be, I don't know if it'll be back in time of WrestleMania. How about next year's SummerSlam? We do a rematch with Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. That's a big stage match. They have a lot of history, and I'd still say their best match for sure was at TakeOver Chicago in 2017. Still one of my favorite matches for sure, and one of the best I've definitely seen. But we had all that happened there. Damian and Rhea were catching up, and Rhea respects how Damian's been handling things, but she's curious as to why is Carlito always hanging out. Before Pristo can explain, Dom rolls up and once again begs Rhea to hear him out. Then Rhea asks what he was doing for the rest of the 3 months she was out and storms off, obviously showing that he didn't ever check up on her. And then we also are backstage between Sami Zayn and Ilja Dragunov, who are going to be main eventing the show for the IC title. Sami reassured, first Ilja's like, I didn't expect you to give me a match for Sami last week. But then Sami reassured him that he asked Pierce to have the match. And he claims Ilja reminds him a lot of himself. When he gets deep in the fight, ugly because that's how it looks when you fight for your life. And that's the kind of person he wants to be in the ring with. He tells Dragunov he better bring his best, and Ilja tells Sami he better bring his best as well, which sets up for the main event later on in the show. We also have footage of Zelina Vega being interviewed earlier on and says she has no love for Liv Morgan or Rhea Ripley, and she's going to be at the front of the line whenever they sort out their little love triangle. This rolls up Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark as they're now a new stable. And Sonya says Zelina isn't in line anymore. She says she doesn't care about her mustache or her forehead. Oh, man, she called out Sonya for having a big forehead. And nothing's going to keep her from continuing to pursue the title. And then we had them have a match. And Sonya's first match in like 11 months. And she completely squashed Zelina. She's now using a inverted DDT called Devil's Advocate, because it spells out Deville. I'm not a fan of it. To me, it just looks like it's the same thing as whenever Braun Strowman does like a similar move as well, where he just like kind of like does an inverted DDT, and to me, it just doesn't look, like a finisher. I don't know. We'll see. We'll still see where this new stable with with Shayna, Zoe, and Sonya goes. All with MMA backgrounds. It could work. I mean, I did I like when they tease the little, technical things Shayna does, like whenever she trapped Zelina's arm and, almost broke it, even though it's, hard to watch. It's stuff like that does make me invested in her match, in her material for sure. We'll see where this goes, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of that finisher for Sonya. Afterwards, the heels go to beat down on Zelina Vega, but out comes Lyra Valkyria, Katana, Chance, and Kayden Carr to make the save. Later on in the night, Katana and Kayden were going to be having a match against Zoe and Shayna. Damian's then backstage when he runs into Dom and asks them why he didn't warn him about Rhea. Priest tells me he told Dom, but he doesn't want to hear it because he was too busy playing with Liv and lying about talking to Rhea. When Jey Uso rolls up and he's like, yo, Damian, is Rhea single? And Damian goes, maybe. And Uso says, tell Dom to tell Rhea, he says, hey. And of course, he walks away, and then Priest tells him, says he can't let Jey talk about his woman like that. He needs to do something about it. Dom's like, I'm going to get a match against him. Try to look all tough and whatnot. Backstage, Adam Pearce is talking to a couple referees, obviously getting ready for later on in the night whenever he deals with Drew McIntyre. Chad Gable rolls up, and he's like, guess what? I feel who Uncle Howdy is. It is Bo Dallas. Everybody's like, yes, Chad, we all have known that. And Pierce says that's a privileged conversation, and Bo is here tonight. So if you got a problem with Bo, you can go talk to him. And Chad's like, you're right. I'll take care of it like I've always done. He's going to call him out later on in the show. Speaking of calling out, Damian Priest comes out. He wants to have a face-to-face confrontation with Gunther. After that, he's going to wrestle Braun Strowman. So out comes Gunther. And again, I said before, I like this promo, but again, I feel like they were really, really trying to make this a bigger selling point for SummerSlam. Like I said, a good match, but it just doesn't feel like it's a SummerSlam level match. It still feels like a B-show pay-per-view match. But anyways, Gunther comes out and says how Damian is so confident, carrying Raw week to week, living his childhood dream as a world champion, and he made an honest assessment of Damian, and he's not living up to it. His reign's been nothing. He wants to save Priest the embarrassment, so rather than having the match at SummerSlam, just hand him the title. Priest says he wishes it was SummerSlam right now so he could knock that stupid smirk off his face. Gunther says this was never his dream. While Gunther was being handed everything in Europe, Priest was fighting on the streets every day for his life. And if he's just here for a paycheck, we don't need you here. Priest says he earned his, and Gunther is the last person who will take it from him. The ring general recognizes his hardship, won't question his street credibility. But to be honest, being on the street was his choice. Don't blame him that his parents thought their offspring wasn't worth the good life. Ouch. Gunther's parents recognized his greatness and provided him, and WWE begged him to sign a contract to avoid people like Damian getting in a position to call himself a world champion. Once again, it falls on Gunther, because if not him, who else will restore the honor and prestige of this great sport and the title? Because this mat is sacred. He says the people here are just like Damian. No matter what he does or what he does, he'll always be street trash. And Priest says somebody with so much clarity, it's crazy that Gunther can't see what's coming right for him. He lost his title at Mania for the same reason he's going to lose to Damian. He has no heart. And maybe, just maybe, after SummerSlam, we'll see if Gunther's anything besides a boring, conceited, privileged scumbag. I mean, kind of bring up some good points there. Like, Gunther came in, immediately got the NXT UK title, got brought up to SmackDown, immediately got the Intercontinental title, went on a long reign with it, having some very, very worthy moments. And as soon as he drops it, he gets King of the Ring, and now he's getting a world title match. So he has been very privileged. Damian has tried to scratch and claw. And I feel like they continue to try to build like that babyface momentum when he has his match against Braun Strowman. Before we had the match with Braun Strowman, Braun Breaker was backstage complaining about Ilja Dragunov getting a title match instead of him. Pierce says Sami asked him respectively and asked for a match, and he gave it to him. Braun says he's just going to ruin the match, but Pierce says he thought this out and calls security to escort Braun out of the building. Yeah, that did not stop him at all, because we knew exactly what was going to happen in the main event, and it did. But speaking of Braun's, Damian Priest took on Braun Strowman in a non-title match. Story has been that obviously Braun Strowman's been a little bit of thorn in the side of the Judgment Day since he came back from his injury. And nobody else was able to take care of him, but Damian was, because he actually had a pretty solid match with Braun, and he convincingly beat Braun clean. So that's a nice way to continue to give Damian some sort of like a momentum. Like it's obvious that he is soon going to turn face. Both him and Rhea are going to turn face. I just wonder, besides of course Dom turning on Rhea, I just wonder what's going to happen with the rest of Judgment Day once Priest and Rhea are out of the group. We'll see though. We see the former Alpha Academies, Maxine Dupree, Akira Tozawa, and Otis chatting backstage when Chad Gable rolls up. He thinks that they're talking about him, and he figured out Uncle Holliday's Bo Dallas, which everybody says we knew that. And Gable's acting like they're all back together. He's going to help him take out Bo Dallas. But then Dupree says, we weren't talking about you. We're talking about helping out Xavier Woods. Which is the case going to happen next week when we're trying to help Xavier Woods with the Final Testament. Okay. And then Chad, of course, snaps and asks if they're serious. And Otis says, yes, they are. And then Gable storms off. Xavier Woods says he wants to make Final Testament regret taking Kofi Kingston out. Okay, I still wish this at least actually something new. So that's why you get Final Testament over. After this, we then had the match between Kayden Carter and Katana Chance taking on Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. Match was fine. Again, still just, wondering what the whole idea is behind this new stable with them and Sonya. The heels do win and move on from there. Pat McAfee also gave us a breakdown of the Miz making an appearance at some kind of a golf tournament and chest bumps on football men. Backstage, we have Finn Balor chatting with Rhea Ripley and admits Liv did help them win the tag titles, but she's just glad the titles are back in their rightful hands. Dom rolls up again and says, Rhea, I got a match against Jay to prove that nobody talks about his woman like that. Rhea calls him stupid and asks, what is he doing? Dom then says, well, I canceled the match, but Rhea asks, are you a coward? And he says he just wants to prove she's still his mommy and she belongs to him. Rhea's like, really now? And she takes off. And Carlito goes, not cool. Carlito has like the little slide, like not cool, or the that's cool, or the thing of like, it's a lot harder than it looks or whatnot. He said last week. Oh man. Anyways, after this, we then had the segment with Drew McIntyre. And Adam Pearce had told CM Punk to stay home this week, which he did in fact do that. But Drew comes out, and they basically say like, everything's cool. We want to have the match with CM Punk. And Pearce said he can have the match with Punk, but all he's got to do is apologize to the referees that he attacked at Money in the Bank. Drew, though, decided not to do it because he said that how the referees around here have done nothing but screw him. And then he says all Adam Pearce has done is watch, and he should be on his hands, and he's apologizing to him right now. And basically says, nope, not happening. He says everybody chanting CM Punk's name should be apologizing. Seth Rollins should be apologizing to him. He wants Punk's head on a spike. And then Adam Pearce cuts him off and says, if you won't own it, then you are continue to be suspended. And then Punk goes to attack the officials till Seth Rollins comes out and makes the save. I guess it's still going to be a triple threat now between Seth, Drew, and Punk. I'd still rather have it be Drew and Punk, but I think it probably lead to the winner of a triple threat getting the title match with Gunther at Bash in Berlin. Maybe that's when they'll do Seth and Gunther. It's nothing to do with SummerSlam, but we'll see. I still rather it be Punk and Drew, but Punk is back next week, so the unsanctioned thing could still be a thing since Drew's still suspended and Punk is not storyline-wise been cleared yet. So we'll see. Let me see here. Okay. So this is when we got a recap of Pat McAfee doing his show earlier today. And during his show, he received a new VHS tape from the Wyatt 6. This time, they're doing what I was hoping they would do. Kind of introducing the other characters. So this time, we've got Erick Rowan. And he says the last few years have been really hard. He used to have a family, but one day the whole world changed. He lost a brother. The person in this world who believed in him more than anyone knocked him on his ass. But you get back up and keep moving. That was Luke Harper he was referring to. Life goes on, but just when he thought he had everything going again, he lost another brother, which is Bray Wyatt. And then Rowan got all emotional, began weeping, and said he had no more family, no more will, nothing. He fell down a well he couldn't get out, and didn't want to get out. He was catatonic, numb to the world, and who's going to miss him? He's just Rowan. He then pulls out his old sheep mask and asks, how does that make him feel? He says it gives him hope, reminding him of when he was at his lowest and accepted a helping hand and got up and had a purpose in life. A purpose to help those like himself. So take broken hearts and make them beautiful. Which again is kind of explaining why he is Rambling Rabbit, it looks like, whenever they wear their costumes. I like this. I really like this. Again, it was definitely emotional, very real, because again, Rowan's lost, the other two members of the original Wyatt family. Well, he still has Braun Strowman, but he's way distant from the Wyatt family. Like I said, I keep hoping this was something they would do and kind of like introduce the characters more for the Wyatt Six. Get us to know who is behind the masks. Like I'm assuming we'll probably get one with Joe Gacy, hopefully, and Dexter Lumis, and maybe Nikki Cross as well. But keep rolling with it. Again, it's got to transition to the ring, which I think it will for SummerSlam. I'll talk about that in a second. We then have Dom taking on Jey Uso. Of course, Rhea Ripley. Rhea came out whenever Liv came out trying to help Dom. But, of course, Liv, after she landed on Dom, again, suggestively ran away whenever Rhea came out. And then Dom's, like, trying to, make amends with Rhea. But Rhea's like, get back in the ring. He takes a spear. Dom still loses. Afterwards, Damian Priest confronts him. And then Rhea shows up again. She doesn't belong to anyone. And she's not his. He's hers. And she shoves the roses back at him. So I guess is that the fact that she forgives him for now? Or what? We'll have to wait and see. But it seems like they're on better terms. But it's not going to last for long. Again, make Dominik the special guest referee at SummerSlam. Then we had this segment with Chad Gable calling out Bo Dallas. So he calls out Bo. Bo comes out with no music. As he's coming out, though, here come Brutus and Julius Creed. The Creed brothers finally turning heel and aligning themselves with Chad Gable. I would say about time. I didn't like how they did this, though. I love what they did with Bo Dallas and the Wyatt Six, because they had Bo getting beat down, a 3-on-1 mugging, but Bo just kept laughing every time he'd get attacked. And then after a while, the rest of the Wyatt Six comes out, and Chad Gable and the Creeds just run off like cowards. And they basically embrace their new leader, which that part was cool. But again, it's like, why did they... I thought they made the new stable of Chad Gable and the Creed brothers look weak. Because why would you have them turn heel just to immediately cower away from a fight? I wasn't the biggest fan of that. And again, I'm definitely getting worried about Chad Gable's momentum. I still feel like you should have had something, a title, Money to Bank, something at this point with all the work he's done as a heel. I just don't know if in a loss to the Wyatt Six, he can get over in this. I don't know. Like, again, I just feel like that the way they did this, like, they turned them heels. They turned the Creed brothers heel finally. You would think they would want to make them look dominant, but instead they made them look like cowards. I don't know. It was just not the right time that these two were going at it. Well, they're like, developing the stable without really much, positive, I guess, for the new heels. I don't know. We'll talk about it, though, in my turn alert for them as well. Those are the two heel turns. Main event was Sami Zayn, Ilja, Dragunov. Match was fine. Expected a little more, though. Match don't ended exactly how I expected. Braun Breaker comes out of nowhere and spears everyone and ends the show. I'm guessing this may be set up for a triple threat between Braun, Sami, and Ilja, which actually would be pretty good if I'm being honest. But we'll have to wait and see. And that's how the show ends, guys. It was still a good show. It just wasn't quite as hot as the past few weeks. Couple of things I'm kind of like, I gotta see what happens. But we'll see. I'm sure SummerSlam will be a nice loaded card, though, once it's complete. And if you haven't done so yet, make sure you check out my SummerSlam predicted match cards. Make sure you guys slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. You may also follow me on TikTok at the Call of the Man 993. New Twitter and Instagram will be coming very, very soon. Hopefully around SummerSlam, I plan on doing that as well. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you guys all later, and do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!